Everybody quiets down. All right, everybody here? Everybody have a good lunch? All right, good deal. Our next speaker is Jayson E. Street. He is the author of Dissecting the Hack, The Forbidden Network from Singress, also creator of DissectingTheHack.com. He has spoken at DEF CON, DerbyCon, UConn, and several other cons and colleges on a variety of information security subjects. His life story can be found on Google under Jayson E. Street. He is a highly carbonated speaker who's partaken of the pizza from Beijing to Brazil. He does not expect anybody to still be reading this far, but if they are, to please note he was chosen as one of Time Year's co-recipients of 2006.
And I always am surprised when they actually do read all the way. So that's cool. This is weird. How y'all doing? So, I don't know what to say. This has been but the best thing about it is, like, this is my talk. It's a talk on failure. So even if I tank it, it's going to be, win-win, right? Because it's a talk on failure. But this is actually different. I've given this talk maybe a couple times this year. I plan on giving it out through, and I always planned on changing it up, adding different things here and there, to keep it fresh, to keep it new. But even saying that, this one's a little bit of an offset. This is not the regular one that I usually give. I've been up for 2 nights, due to a whole bunch of crap that's been going on in our community. And so, I don't know when it's going to go off the rails, but I promise you it will go off the rails at some point, because just that's the way it's going to work. And this talk is not about cool failures. It's like, please, I'm not one of those guys that goes like, oh yeah, I was messing around and I made this failure and look, I invented penicillin. It's not one of those fails where it's like, yes, I tried 1,000 times and I made the light bulb and crushed Tesla, which I shouldn't have done. But those kind of things, right? It's like, it's not that kind of failure talk. These are where I have failed. I have cratered. It's like I screwed up. I was bad and don't do what I do. Did. Hopefully I'm still not doing a lot of these things. It's like, some of them I'm human, but it's like, don't do these things. We got to learn from these mistakes. You see all these people giving these talks about how awesome everything it works and there's no demo fails. It's like, that's awesome. But how are you failing? It's like, I like the fact that this title is actually from the song. Champions. We are the champions of the world, Queen. It's like it actually has the fact that you got to admit that you made a bad mistakes. Cause it's like, how can you succeed without failing a little bit here and there? Who am I? I think the only thing that you need to understand about me is that I fail. I don't say I'm an expert at much, okay? But I'm an expert in that category, okay? I am like a subject matter expert when it comes to failing. I should make it a job, but then I'd probably fail at it. Wouldn't want to go there. So, that's all you need to know about me. It's like, cause we're going to discuss several different kinds of fails, cause I've got a wide variety and stuff. A smorgasbord of fail. We're going to talk about some blue team fails. We're going to talk about some red team fails, and then we're going to get into some community fails. And we're going to discuss those. So let's just jump right in. And, one of the things about me was I've started in physical security, and law enforcement, over 30 years ago, cause I'm really old. And one of the things that I learned about that environment was that it was very confrontational. Do you realize when you're dealing with someone, especially when I was a supplemental officer, it's like, and you're dealing with people, you're dealing with them on the worst possible day of their life. Either something really bad has happened to them because you're there, or because you arrived, something bad's about to happen to them. Okay? But either way, it's pretty effing bad. So when I got the chance to get out of a field where I was getting shot at for a living, I didn't go into computers because, less incidents. It was amazing. It was back in 2000. I was told that I could go from help desk to actually information security. And it was Tim Smith, the guy, the VP of technical security for this, online bank. And he gave me this job. And it was like, when he first approached me, I was like, well, hold on. I can do security. And I can do computers. Oh my gosh. I'm never going to leave this field, which is true because it's amazing and I love it. So, but what was my biggest problem from there? Well, I was working at an online bank. I was information security. I was a network security administrator. They let me choose my title when I wanted the initials NSA. So I was a network security administrator. It's like, and I was horrible at it because I was security. I was there to patrol, to keep people from doing out. I was confrontational. I was not trying to help secure the company. I was watching out for all the potential suspects, which were employees. That's not a good way to run a security program. They're supposed to be assets. They're supposed to be there for you, not just potential targets and potential victims or potential perpetrators. And that's one of the things that I did. I would walk around and it's like, and it's like people would just like try to avoid me. I mean, they still do that now, but it's like, it's like, then it was even worse. It's like, I literally was going through and doing a walkthrough because I make sure you have your security badge on. Gotta have your security badge on. And if you don't have a security badge, you have to go to the receptionist and get a temporary visitor's badge. You got to wear the badge of shame all day. Those are the rules. I'm there to enforce rules. I'm there to make sure those rules are followed. That's why I'm there. And so what I did was I would go do that. And I noticed that the CEO, owner of the company, he was a great guy. He looked at me one time. It's like when I was walking by, he's like on his computer. He's like, "Hey, Jayson, how's it going?" My spidey senses was tingling. Like, I'm doing good. What are you doing? What's up? Nothing much. Just having a good day. It's like it was a Monday. And he's like, "So everything's fine." I was like, "Did you forget your badge?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it's like, and I walked him to the receptionist and he got a visitor's badge that he wore all day. Now that's cool because and please understand, that's not a kudos to me. That was a kudos to him because I still got a job there after that. Okay. That was awesome. But at the same time, he was enforcing the policies because he understood the importance of them. But it wasn't the way that I should have approached the situation. It's like I was so busy trying to do enforcement and trying to make sure that they were doing the right thing and they weren't being wrong. I wasn't actually bringing everybody together. And the reason why I used this picture is because I got a metal poster of this, the exact same picture. It said like 5 security agency at the top. And then it had another thing at the bottom and stuff, it's like problems you're going to nip it in the bud. But it's like that picture of Barney Fife was on there. And I am so slow on the uptake on human interactions that it took me a year or two to realize, oh, they were insulting me with that. That was a joke at my expense because they thought I was Barney Fife. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's like, but that's the executives gave me that as a present. Is that the right interactions to have with your employees? No. It's like we have to learn that the biggest problem is that we have to understand that before an actual situation arises, it's like my eyes are way too tiny for that. But I'm going to go over here. Also, I hate this. We got to cultivate relationships. And other problems is like you see a lot of pictures, like even in the Netherlands guys are awesome. They have all the Twitter pictures with all the people that they do things, rescue kitties and and like makes ducks walk across the street. We see those pictures, and you see the guy that was in Texas, I believe, that actually played basketball with the kids. That was awesome because that interaction was not horrible. They did not see the police in the form of a horrible event that happened in their lives. And that's one of the things that we have to understand. It's like if you got to foster the image of being part of a solution, not looking for the problem. In other words, you have to say, it's like, well, I'm not looking out trying to see where you failed. I'm trying to help you keep you protected. I'm here to help you keep secure. I'm help us to work together as a team. It's like when I do walkthroughs, I make it very obvious and evident that I'm not there walking hoping to find something. It's like I'm walking around hoping that we all pass because then I don't have to write a report. And I hate writing reports. So I'm rooting for them. I make it obvious like, oh, that's a great job. Okay, good. It's like, or I look at something like, oh, maybe that's not good. Okay, we'll check on that. And so, it's like, we'll let that slide. It's like, it's like you try to be like, they're part of the team and you're not looking at their failure. You're trying to educate them. You're trying to make it a success. And so therefore they get more involved in it being part of the team. You have to empower the employees to get involved with what you do. In other words, you have to let them know that you exist and that you're not there just as an impediment to their work. You're just not another thing that they have to look out for, that you're there to help. And I have paid this price. Okay. I have an employee that, he had a problem with phishing email. And I was like, you know what? Just send me some examples of spam or the phishing emails that you're getting or the things that you think they're. So wow. I now have a spam rule for my spam rule for that goes through his spam that he sends to me because security, right? It's like, I mean, I actually got to the point now where it's like, I'll check, and once I get like another 1,000 new emails from him, it's like I'll go and send, good job, thank you, that was a good one, we're glad to see that one. I mean, he literally sends me spam email from his home email account just in case I wasn't aware of it. And I'm like, awesome, thanks, I needed that, you know? And the problem is like, that's awesome. That's not the problem. It's like, we have to do that more. It's like, because you know what he does? He talks to his coworkers about how he's part of the security team. And that's great. Of course, his coworkers are like, wait, we have a security team? It's like, and he educates them and he tells them those things. And that's a perfect thing to do. We get them involved in it. Instead of being this just enforcement arm of the policy branches, it's like we're actually there to help facilitate and be part of the team and help them do their jobs and help them keep their jobs. That's the way we have to start working it. And I'm not doing that. See, this is one thing I want to start preaching. It's about my failure because I didn't do it that way. It took me I started in 2000. I'm sure by 2004, 2005, 6-ish, it's like I started understanding that. It was not an easy lesson to learn. It was hard to unlearn my previous behavior. But I started getting into it. And when I did, I noticed a lot more involvement with the coworkers. I learned a lot more people and employees getting involved in security. And so therefore, my security posture being better for it. Now, the next one is a touchy subject for me because it involves the networking people. Are there any network people in here? Don't raise your hand. I won't hold it against you. Except for you did too late. Sorry. I saw you. So the thing is, we got networking and security. Networking. We got to make it faster. We got to make it faster. We got to go faster. We got to get the bandwidth up. And security's like, no, we got to slow down. We got to inspect the packet. And they're always fighting, right? That's the way I always envision it. That's the way it was for me. It's like, it's like freaking networking. Any is not a proper rule for a firewall. Okay? And networking was like, motherfucker, stop logging on this. You're causing all the problems. Well, here's a big fail for me on this one where, this is like one of my worst personal fails. I was doing security. It's like, for this other place. And I had a problem on the firewall. And I watched the firewall, logs like, soap opera. They had their own screen on my desk and it's like I'm watching, looking for the green, looking for the red, looking for something, right? And I noticed that Telnet was going off on the inside of the internal IP address, bouncing off to these other servers. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, they're inside the house. It's like, it's one of those kind of moments, It's like, and so I start freaking out. Okay. So I go over to the networking team and I'm like, guys, it's like, we got these UDP packets. It's like, can you trace it? And the guy's like, yeah, they're coming from this one of the internal routers that we have. And I'm literally, it was like dialing for murders, like the calls coming from within the house. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're inside. How did they get it? I start raising the claxons. Like my boss wasn't there that day. He has learned to regret that still to this day. So I had to go to his boss, which was the CIO of the company. And I waved the alarms like, oh my gosh, they're like inside. We got to figure out what we got to buy. And we're working on this project. And it's like, and I'm working and we're like in this little cube farm and I'm working with the head networking guy and this other guy and the CIO, and we're standing around and we're like trying to figure out what's doing. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm just like, it's all going down, right? And one of the networking guys raises his hand, raises his hand, He's like, wait, what IP address was that? And we tell him, it's like, well, I'm doing a scan. All right, tell us for our branch routers. It's like, could that be it? And I'm like, you know darn well it is. It's like, and so, I mean, like, couldn't you say that just a little bit sooner? And the CIO's like, couldn't you wait just a little bit longer, Jayson? It's like, and so I failed. It was horrible. I mean, that's all it was. It was a total false alarm. I looked like a complete and utter idiot. I mean, and trust me, that's not hard for me to do, okay? But this was a whole nother level, okay? I took it up 100, okay? And I didn't appreciate that. But I also didn't appreciate the way that I had to do dealings with the networking. If I had a proper relationship with the networking department, would I have found out about that scam maybe just a little bit sooner? Probably. But I didn't, because I didn't like talking to networking, because the networking guys are scary. They're trying to do all this. I mean, when I have to go over to the networking department, I've got a safe word. My boss knows if I'm not back in 5 minutes, the black helicopter should be called. It's like there's a protocol to be approached and stuff, when you're dealing with these guys. So I didn't have a proper relationship with them. It's like, but communication involves listening, not just telling. And that was my relationship with them. I told them when we needed to do a new firewall rule. I told them when they needed to look up an IP address that I thought was suspicious. I told them when there was a problem going on the network that they needed to investigate. I told them these things. Did I really listen to them? No, they're networking. Why bother? But I mean, sorry, but that's still scarred deeply, people. Okay, it's like I should have had a communication with them. I should have been able to talk to them. Besides, when there was an issue to develop that I just needed help with, you need to develop an effective communication channel before a crisis. In other words, what I needed to do is maybe talk to them every once in a while when I didn't need something, And I mean, you can find common ground. Even though they're soulless, you can still find something that y'all have in common. It's like, they may like Star Wars and you may like Star Trek, but it's like you both like Babylon 5 because you're human. So, it's like everybody likes Firefly. That's got to be, and if you don't, shame on you. Okay. So it's like, you've got that. And I mean, let's face it, they're geeks. They're a different kind of geeks, but they're still geeks. They've got the action figures on their desk. You can tell exactly what they like. So you have that common ground that you can talk to them about and have conversations about. I mean, you may not be able to say and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, how was that game and stuff, last night? That was but you can always go and say, it's like, man, did you see that new expansion pack? That was like pretty cool. It's like, so I mean, there's always something you can have a conversation with. So you also need to search out all the aspects of a situation, not just what you want to assume it to be. I am worst case scenario guy every time. Every time. I literally live in a perpetual state of waiting for the other shoe to drop. So, Eeyore is my spirit animal of optimism. Okay. It's like one day I will be as happy as him. I don't know when, but I'm trying to get there. Okay. So if I wasn't expecting such bad things to always be happening, I may have looked for something else that it could have been, like a jerk networking engineer guy and stuff, doing a telnet scan on the servers. But I didn't allow for that. I waited for my evidence to be made by what my opinion of what it was supposed to be. And that was my biggest fail of all of it, was that I didn't research it properly. I didn't go and look at all the other aspects. I just assumed that this is what it was and went with it. That's a problem. What happens when you assume? We all know. Don't have to replay it. But the thing is also, it's like another thing about that is like when I was working with them and I was trying to figure out what the problem was, they didn't need to help me with my problem. I was in another job where we had networking having a problem. They said that the firewall was causing a problem. We've all heard that one. Yeah, I was working with the firewall. And I'm like, it's not the effing firewall. It's like, no, it's just the firewall. It's like, no. So what did I do? I did all this research. I did all this work. I did everything I could and showed all this evidence to prove to them that it wasn't the firewall. What did it turn out to be? No, DNS server. It's like, it was their fault. It was evident. I was totally okay with it. It was not my fault. Did I help them with their problem? Did they get their problem solved faster with my input? No. I just proved it wasn't the firewall. That wasn't helpful to anybody except for, me, because I got this, it's like it didn't work. So it's like you have to understand that you got to come up with that. You got to be part of the situation, and you got to help them, because when you're helping them and they're helping you, we're all helping each other and we're all looking good. I was in a place one time, just a random rant thing, but where there was people that were trying to make themselves look good, and they're trying to make the other guys look bad. And the other guys were trying to make themselves look good and make the other guys look bad. And I literally sat down in a meeting with everybody, and I said, you know what? This might be crazy, but if I try to make myself look good, and I try to make you look good, and you're trying to make yourself look good, and you're trying to make me look good, maybe we all end up looking good. Maybe can we try that? The answer was no. I was gone within like 2 months after that. But it's like, but it was worth a shot anyway, right? It's like, that's what counts. All right. So let's go on to the next one. I personally don't like having convicted rapist pictures on my slide decks, or alleged rapist on slide decks, unless it's privacy advocacy or IPv6 issues. But this one I think is appropriate because this is like a mantra for red teamers. And when I started, this was like a mantra. The whole time it's like everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And when I started Red Team, that was my philosophy. That's what I'm there for. I show up day one on the client side. It's like, hi, how you doing? I'm here to show you how ugly your baby is. I haven't really seen all of it, but I'm pretty sure it's an ugly baby. It's like, it's going to be ugly. But that's okay. That's what you got me here for, because you don't really understand how ugly it is and you need my help. So I'm here to help you with that. How do they receive that? Maybe not the best, right? No one really likes the situation where it's like you go into them and say, hey, your company hired me to punch you in the face because poof, that makes your plan go away for some reason, right? It's like, no, they don't like that. You're supposed to be part of the solution. So what I did in this one engagement, there was a guy. He was a jerk. And I'm being totally honest with you. I did not like the guy, personally disliked him. He was not a nice person, okay? He was a jerk. He was a client, employee of the client's. Doesn't make him less jerky, okay? It happens. And there was a situation where we had domain controller access. And we had all the passwords and the history of all the passwords of every employee, including Mr. Jerkface. And Mr. Jerkface, you know what he liked to do? He liked to do a derivative of this one word and then put like numbers, put different numbers, rotating the different numbers behind it. So on a call with the team and his boss and Mr. Jerkface and his boss's boss, we decided to play a game. How many times could you bring up that word and insert that word in the conversation and all the different kinds of variations and forms that it could be, just so he could understand during the call how screwed he was? And guess what? We're pretty inventive as hackers, right? We came up with a lot of different ways. Halfway through the call, he realized, oh yeah, I'm toast. Right? That was cool and funny and hilarious. Who did that help? We had legitimate findings to give him. Did he really take any of those to heart? No, we were the jerks that just embarrassed him and told him what his password was. Everything that we came up with, every finding that we had during that engagement could be written off because those guys were a-holes. That's what it could be turned into. Everything that he thought that we showed him that was a legitimate finding was ruined by the fact that we ruined the whole experience, or I personally ruined the whole experience for him. I mean, because I literally totally screwed the guy over. I stole his laptop and took a picture with it and took the power adapter just because I could, and it was hilarious at the time, okay? So yeah, I was a jerk. That's not what you're supposed to do when you're a red team person or doing a penetration test. Red team is not there to show the blue team's failings. Red teams are there to help make the blue teams more secure. And if you don't understand that your job is solely based as a red teamer as to securing and being a partner with the blue team, guess what? I'm not the only one in this room failing, because that's what it's about. I didn't understand that. I had such low self-esteem. I was like, I've got to punch them really hard. They hired me, so I got to show them how good I am at punching. It's like, I've got to show them that I'm really good at it. That's the reason why they paid me money, was to do that. And that was not the process. And so a lot of my engagements were confrontational at first. First three. I usually get the hint eventually. So, it's, I got a hard head for a reason. I understand those things now. It's like, and I try to make the company, it's like, sorry, I mean, this is a different picture of them. It's like, this one's a more inspirational quote of a guy who bit a guy's ear off because he got punched in the face and lost the plan. But, it says, everybody you fight is not your enemy, and everybody that helps you is not your friend. So yes, that's what I had to start learning, that I'm supposed to be their adversary, but I'm there for their good. I'm there to help them in an adversarial role. So when a real adversary that means them harm, they're better protected against it. They're better understanding of what to do. So face the facts. If you're not part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. It's like, so you have to give them findings. You have to give them ways to be more secure, not just showing them where they failed, but also showing them how they can succeed. Showing things that they can secure themselves with, not just the things that they didn't have secured. Also, allies come in unlikely forms and unlikely places. You know, one of the things that I learned after that important lesson, I came with this revelation that if you approach the situation with your clients and you say, and you talk to the people that they're employed with, that you're going in there and telling them about the ugly baby, you can also say, you know what? I'm also here to help you. You know probably most of the findings I'm going to find. You know about them. I'm not going to surprise you with a huge security vulnerability, probably not. But you don't have the voice to management. Maybe you don't have the budget allocated for it. Maybe you need someone to be your advocate to help get these changes done. Well, guess what? I'm here to be your advocate. I'm here to help you get your security initiatives through. I'm here to help you get the funding that you need to get the equipment and get you the training and get you the things that you need to be better at your job to help protect this company. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you be more secure. And then they're like, oh, well, that's totally different. Yeah, I admit my baby's a little ugly. It's like, yeah, it's like, there's a blemish or two we can work on. I have nothing against babies. By the way, I think they're cute and adorable. Okay. So if I don't want to offend any babies here, it's like, but that's what happens. They actually start helping you. I've actually had clients, employees go like, by the way, if you happen to look at this subnet, you'll see that there should have been improper controls that need to be taken care of, that would be taken care of if they would actually give us that IDS system we were looking for, you know, the other sensor, but they haven't. So it's like, and guess what? You get to put that on the report. It's like, I don't take credit for it because that would be bad, but it's like, I'm able to put that on report and make it a finding and help them out. So when I do come up with other things that they didn't know about, it's not a slap in the face. It's not, oh, he's just trying to prove me wrong. It was, oh, he had a legitimate finding. I didn't know about that. I'm glad I know about it now. He's trying to help me out. So that changes the dynamics. That changes the story. So also, short-term satisfaction often leads to long-term headaches. That's a big one, because did I get hired back to Mr. Password Jerky Face's employment again? No. Nope, I'm never getting hired back there. I don't really care because he was a jerk. Seriously. I mean, it's like, but I'm never going to get that job again. It's like, I mean, so you can get that short-term satisfaction of being like, ha, I won. It's like, oh, I'm unemployed because I have no clients because people have started to realize I'm a jerk, you know? So that will totally affect your ability to feed and clothe your children. It's like you have to make sure that you're helping the people and they understand you're there helping to them, not just trying to punch them in the face. It's like, the next one, this one was like mostly all the red teams and mostly all the blue team fellows that I've talked about. Let's face it. I sort of knew I was being a jerk. I sort of knew that I was not doing it right. A couple of them I was pretty clueless, but I mean, I understood and I learned from it. This one is really interesting because this fail was an epiphany. I mean, literally, I just like was going along and during this engagement, and I realized, oh, I've been doing this all wrong. And what that was I was not giving them a win. I was not helping my clients with the win. I was doing this engagement where I was trying to break into the secured facility, and there's like 2 doors that you couldn't see from the main entrance. So I was doing the hover step. Hover step is this. It's like, so when you hear it, when someone gets through the door, you start walking and you have a natural gait, like you're coming out of one of the doors. Human subconscious, you understand if someone's from a start gate or they've already been in a natural gait. So I was doing the little hover thing, and then this lady comes in, and luckily she went to the other door that I was going to try to get into, and she sees me, and she looks at my visitor's badge. My visitor's badge was actually a legitimate visitor's badge that said Gregory D. Evans on it, and it had a picture of me going with it being Oopsie Inc. as the company. I think she was a little suspicious, but we're in a polite society, so she let me in. She went right. I went left, straight into this office where I told the guy, yeah, we have a problem with the IPv6 complications with the USB drives and the domain policy rights and stuff, for the flux. It's like, you need to plug this USB drive in. Don't worry about the rubber ducky on it, and let me check it. Got 3 of them right down that hallway. Got 3 of them. Coming out of the 3rd office, I see her down the hallway talking to somebody. And I can tell by the body language, I can tell by the facial expressions, she's upset. She knows she did something wrong. And I have the door right there. I could duck out of that door, and I'm like, "Wee! I won! Yay!" And succeed. Technically, I already succeeded. I already compromised 3 machines. And it literally, like a bolt of lightning, it hit me. It was, what if I let her catch me? What if I walk through and give them a win? What if I let her, what will happen if she has another chance to stop me? What's going to happen? So I kept walking down the hallway. I walked right by. I'm like, "Hi, how you doing? What's up?" Kept going. Went to another room. Went to this office. Talked to this lady. Compromised her machine. That's 4. About 2 minutes later, this guy comes in. Huge hulking eyes. "What are you doing here?" I need to see your expert. "I don't care. I need to call some." I'm like, whoa, okay. I regret this decision. Okay. It's like, literally, it's like, I've got to get out of jail free card. "I don't care. I'm going to come." I'm like, okay, it's okay, and he was ex-Air Force. So, that was my mistake as well. But now on every engagement, I spend at least 2 days destroying the company. I'm going to be the worst possible thing to happen to you at the worst possible time in the worst possible way. I'm great at parties, okay? But that's just how I roll. On the last day, I spend the whole day getting caught. I go from, I need access to the server room. That's like, I have this authorization right here. What part of authorization do you not understand? Open the door now, please. To going, I need to get into the server room. I've got some a letter here for the person that was supposed to go with it. I need to get in. Is that cool? I get caught, and I give them a win. I give them something to look up to, not just all the stuff they need to look down on that they need to fix. Sometimes I've had to work at it. I literally was at this bank in Beirut, Lebanon, and I'm twirling in the chair behind the teller line. I'd been there for over 15 minutes going like, when are they going? They're supposed to catch me. And so finally I got bored. I got really bad ADD, right? So I was really bored at this point. So I just tapped the teller on the shoulder, and I was like, because I'm sitting in front of this desktop server that's doing business banking right then. And I was like, "What's the user ID and password for this machine?" He tells me. It was the user ID was the same as the password, which was the same as the server name that was in the login box. So that was awesome. Made me cry a little bit inside. And I logged in, and I gracefully shut down their server that was doing banking business during the day. I shut it down. I unplugged it. I started walking it out of the building thinking, maybe they're going to catch me now. It's like, maybe they'll take this subtle hint. Something's wrong. And guess what? The guy did. He jumped up right before I got to the teller, out of the teller line, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I had to stop the 5 different responses I had that I knew would get me out of the building. Okay. I had to shut all 5 of those down because he just made it so easy. And I literally was like, as soon as he did that, I was like, oh, wow, you're good. You got me. I was a bad guy. I'm doing these bad things. I'm doing this. You're good. What made you figure out that I was a bad guy? You were good. It's, I'm going to write you up in the report. You did an awesome job of catching me. I mean, you gave me the user ID and password first, but still, that's okay. You were just trying to see what I was going to do with it. That was tricky, very tricky. You're good. Okay. It's like, that's awesome. It's like, you definitely caught me. Good job. So, but he had to win. So when you're telling everybody everything they're doing wrong, it's just, But if you give them people that they can look up to, people that say, this person caught this person and this is how they did it, well, now they have actionable, teachable moments that they can work off of. Okay, yeah, I'm probably going to go past that, just FYI. So that's what you have to learn. It's like, giving your target a win doesn't diminish your attack. Having them do good doesn't make you bad. And that took a lot for me to understand because, I usually just any personal front, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did horrible. It's like I'm one of those guys constantly replaying those kind of things, right? But that's the truth. Also, surfers don't respond to an attack with resentment. People do. I've seen some pretty snarky blue screens of death in my time, so I don't know how much that is true. But, basically it is. It's like when you're dealing with humans and you're dealing with reports and even if you did a straight up network engagement, how you interact with the clients is important. Are you giving them wins in the network side as well? Do you try, once you've done a successful attack, to run an in-map scan invasive, with just boom, all the flags and see what happens? Because usually sometimes an IDS will actually catch that every once in a while. It's like, hopefully. So that's good. And when you look at the blue team as a teammate and not an adversary, you both win. You have to start understanding that you're one-sided. You would not exist without the blue team to be there. That's just the way it is. So the next part are my community fails. And this one's actually kept me up a little bit at night because I did this talk before and I talked about my book, and I talked about how the guy that messed up my book and how bad the experience was. And when I've given this talk before, I made sure not to mention his name. It's like because I didn't want to give him credit for it. I didn't want him to have any more recognition for it. And over the last week or so, I realized how that was wrong. That one of my biggest fails in this community was I didn't call out someone that was doing something bad, who had done something evil. I have a lot of people who don't like me. I'm okay with that. It's like there's people at this conference right now who will have no problem telling you the stupid and how horrible and what bad of a person I am for this industry. How I'm a joke, how I'm stupid, how I'm not very technical, how I don't really know what I'm talking about, how I recycle. There's a lot of people that can tell you those things that are here if you want to hear it. And I'm fine with that. I don't like them either. I think they're jerks. I'm not going to name their names though, because you know why? That's their opinion. They haven't wronged me. They just don't like me. And that's totally okay in this society. But this guy wronged me. He told me that he was going to help me edit my book. He was going to help create actual content. And he lied. And he plagiarized it. And he copied the stuff from WikiLeaks. His name was Dustin Fritz. He's a bad person, and I don't like him. And I think he was wrong. And when someone does something wrong to you, you don't just try to explain it off. And that's what I did. I was trying to figure out what I did wrong. How I try to take responsibility for I should have known better. I should have vetted his sources better. I should have looked at where he was getting his information. I should have done the same kind of simple editing that the person who found out about it did. I should have done that. I made a lot of excuses about why it was my fault. Dustin Fritz was wrong. He lied, and he did something bad that he should feel guilty for, not me. We are so busy in this community trying to say that we're protecting people from bad guys on the internet. How much are we protecting ourselves and each other? When we see situations at conferences or locations and stuff, and we see people, do we act out on it? Do we do something about it? And that's not true all the time. It's like I had a situation that was, I'm going to move it just so you can look at something else besides me. I had a situation one time at a conference, and this was a huge fail on my part that I still regret because I'm known for hugging. I've actually curtailed my awkward hugs. Actually, if you've noticed, it's like I make it a lot different now. You have to approach me if you want an awkward hug. You have to take a picture with your camera so you have the power to post it or not. I don't care. Well, no matter what I look like, I'm totally okay with people coming up behind me and grabbing me and stuff, and getting an awkward hug. That's fine. I've accepted that. And I was at DEF CON last year. And there's also a certain amount of people that if I know you enough, I'm going to give you a hug. Whenever Iron Geek's around, he gets a hug. Dave Kennedy's around, I give him a hug. There's people I know that's like, I know you, I'm going to give you a hug. And I was at this party, one of the vendor parties, and I saw my friend and this other friend, and they were talking and having a conversation, and I was coming up to the side of her. And what did I do? I knew her. I gave her a hug. Because she saw me coming out. She didn't see me coming out of the corner. The look on her face is something I'm never going to forget, because I didn't just go in and invade that space of her. I took away her feeling of safety for that moment. She just looked at me with this fear that I never want to see on someone's face when they're looking at me. And she ran off. And it was up to my friends to stop me from running off after her, because that would have been a great decision, right? When someone runs off in fear, you start chasing them. So I had friends there that stopped me from making another mistake. Why don't we have more friends doing that when they see someone that's a little too tipsy or a little too something and they need to calm down or they need help getting to their hotel room? If you're not part of the problem, part of the solution, you are part of the problem. 2 days later, I met her again. I couldn't face her the next day. She said it was okay. It was all good. Never forgetting that moment. It's like, and you don't understand how it is. And I don't really understand how it was. And the thing that hit me was a couple of days ago where I had to show my 10-year-old daughter a video of a 13-year-old girl getting dragged out of a grocery store. So she would understand, with her mom screaming and trying to protect her. It's like I had to show her that so she would understand, this is why we want you to stay around us. I can never put myself in the shoes that she felt of getting that safety taken away from her. But I do understand as a father having to explain that to my daughter. And the reason why my 10-year-old daughter has pepper spray on her. Because she don't take crap from nobody. I taught her that as well. So that's what we have to start understanding. When you're in these environments, it's not okay to just say, oh, that person's sort of sketchy. It's like, I wouldn't deal with them. I'm not going to get into it. If a person has wronged you, you say it. And you make sure that you stand by it and that it's true. I haven't done that in a long time. It's like, I don't want the drama. I don't want to start anything. That whole thing with Dustin Fritz, my cancer was not as bad as dealing with that situation. I preferred having cancer to dealing with him and that book and finding out that it was plagiarized. So we need to understand that as a community, that when something bad happens, if someone pisses you off and doesn't like you, who cares? That's drama. He doesn't like the way I do my TCP writings and stuff in my Metasploit module. He's an a-hole, and this is all the bad things about him. Whatever. Toughen up. But if someone has wronged you, you have to say something or they're going to keep wronging people and they're going to keep doing bad things. Now, the next fail, and I'm glad I went off on this one because the next fail is a really stupid one that we can all laugh at Jayson on. So that's good. That's a good break. People, one of the biggest fails that I've talked about in the past is DEF CON 12. DEF CON 12 for me was my first DEF CON. And the way I handled DEF CON 12 almost was my last DEF CON. Not by my choice, but everybody else was like, maybe you should stay home, Jayson. Okay? Because I had never been to a hacking conference before. But I've seen hackers, so I knew about what it was going to be like. So I'd go to Black Hat for the first time. 2004. I'd go to Black Hat. And I'm dressed, my dragon shirts, because I'm still a little weird no matter what. And it's like, and I took a class and it was all good. And then DEF CON happened. I got my shiny dragon shirts on. I spray painted my hair blue. Seriously. There are pictures out there on the internet. I can't get them on. Google won't help me with it, okay? They're still there. I spray painted my hair blue. And I went bananas. I didn't go and learn anything at DEF CON. I got lots of pictures. I took pictures I got a selfie with H.T. Moore on the conference that he released Metasploit. That was when DEF CON 12 is when they released Metasploit. Spoon him and all those guys hanging at the OSBD party and stuff, I got a picture with them. Did I learn anything about Metasploit during DEF CON? No. I got pictures of the FX, major malfunction. I got a lot of pictures I got a picture with Rainforest Puppy. It's like, he's gone now. He's just not even around. It's like, but I got pictures with him. I didn't have any conversations with them. I didn't do DEF CON right. I didn't do hacking conferences right. I was so busy trying to be what I thought it was supposed to be that I didn't let it be what it was supposed to be. And so I was a complete idiot. I mean, literally, DEF CON 13, almost as bad. It's like, there are people that still it's just recently, in this last couple of years, that have finally decided to forgive me for a lot of the stuff and stupidity that I did at DEF CON 12 and 13. And it's like, and there were people that helped me though. By DEF CON 14, I was actually getting people that helped me. Major Malfunction helped me. It's like Vertigo helped me. They're like, they helped me a lot by saying, Jayson, calm down. Okay, seriously. It's like, but they also started showing me what this community was about. And then I started realizing what it was. And I started accepting for what it was, the good and the bad. And that is when I started having a family. And that's when this community became so personal to me. And I became so passionate about it because it's given me so much. So don't be like me at DEF CON 12. No one wants to be like me, usually, ever. But especially not DEF CON 12. That was bad. And now, what are the things we can learn from it? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be around others and enjoy what you do. Nothing. It's like, there is nothing wrong with that, but it shouldn't come into just cosplay being a hacker. You're just cosplaying and just showing up to take your picture, show up to be around, and then you go back and you haven't brought anything back from it. You haven't learned anything from it, because that's what we're here for. The least effective time that I have is when I'm on this stage, because all I'm doing is going, blah, all to y'all, and y'all have to like, ooh, hear it. And it's like, and then I'm selfish. It's all about me, right? It's like, I didn't get nothing from that. What I get from showing to these conferences are the conversations I have before and after my talk. When people come up and talk to me about something that they're working on, something that they've done, something that they're doing. That's what I like, because I like learning from other people. And everybody in this room, I have something to learn from. It's like, if you want to share it or not, that's up to you. But I promise you, there's something that I can learn from on those things. So one of the other things that most cons is learning to make sure that you're a part of it. Okay, I actually just said the second one without even realizing I was saying the second one. So that's awesome. I segued nicely. So that's what you got to do. You've got to make sure that you're part of it. Cause it's like, and Ben 10 said something about him being, it's not me. It was him. He had the ideas. He had the thoughts, just like every single one of you do. Think of something. The best way to learn something or learn a field that you're very interested in is commit to giving a talk on it. Because trust me, before you stand up and have other people judge you on it, you're going to effing know that subject really, really well. Okay. And so if you really want to get involved in it, go speak at a local DEF CON group. Go speak at a 2600. Go speak at the InfraGard or ISA. It's like, trust me, you will know your stuff before you're done, before you give that talk, or you'll learn to regret that. And also, never forget that just like a dentist, you're a valuable part of society and as well known. One of the most toxic words for me in this industry, besides, APT and big data and PCI compliance and Sony and okay, there's a whole bunch of other words, okay, but one of the worst ones is rock star. He's a rock star in this field. He's a rock star. Oh my gosh, you're a rock star. I'm a dentist. I had people getting on, I was on this influential list or something last year, and this guy literally had a conniption fit because he wasn't on the list too. And I went on this tirade going, you realize it's not really rock stars, right? We're like dentists. What do dentists do? They tell you what you need to do to keep your systems healthy, to make sure that there's no invasion or breaches of your cavities that could cause you to have to do instant response that's very painful and expensive, like a root canal, or do preventive tasks to keep your network secure and stuff, with braces. That's what they do, right? Do you know the guy who created Invisalign braces? He's an orthodontist. He's famous. He's huge. He goes to conferences all over the world talking about his Invisalign braces. He's written books on them. People go up to him at these conferences like, oh my gosh, I love your research and stuff on orthodontics. Can I take a picture with you? And then he gets to go and he signs autographs. Do you know what happens when he walks out of that conference? He's an effing dentist. He is so insignificant, I didn't bother researching his name again to tell you what it was. I don't care. He was a dentist, but he was huge. He created Invisalign braces. That's amazing. He's got more money than I ever have. I don't know his name, don't care. That's what we are. We may be known in our community. I went to a wholesale beer association annual conference, and I spoke there, which was terrifying for everyone involved. And there was a guy before me, and he gets on the stage, and people went effing nuts. Because this guy he's the crap when it comes to freaking wholesale beer association business. I didn't know what half the stuff he was talking about, but do you know that you actually use wheat barley kind of stuff, when you make beer? Had no clue, okay? But there's processes involved in that. I just think you just get beer and drink and do funny things. But for him, he knew his stuff. And that was great. I'm sure he never considered himself a rock star. He never goes around thinking that he's like, oh, I'm on that influencer list. I'm somebody special. No, he's someone doing his job. Just like everybody here is. That's it. There is no level. There is no one person better. We're all dentists. We're all doing our different fields of orthodontry or dentistry or whatever it is. We're all doing the same thing. Some get more known for it. Others don't. It's the same thing. So I want to end this really quick because I know it's going to be quick because this is the part where I say, who wants to volunteer a fail that they did? And the reason why I do this is because every single one of you have failed at some point in your life, at some time. Some may be thinking that coming to this talk was one of them, but still, we've all failed. Every person that goes onto a stage that you see has failed horribly. Every person that has done research or gotten a paper published or done a blog or got on into an advisory board or did something has failed horribly. There are no exceptions to that. So anybody want to share one of their fails? I got a mic that I can't get the stand off. Anybody got a fail? Oh, here's a fail. Hold on. Okay. Well, you say that now, but.
Just like you, I had alienated a lot of the users, and they actively started to work against me as I was trying to enforce the company policies on security. It took me years to recover from that.
And that's a big one. It's like, I mean, if you think your users are stupid and that they're incompetent, take solitaire off their computer and see how quick it comes back on. It's like, I mean, you can have a good workforce, or you can have people that are actually trying to circumvent security just so they don't have to deal with you. I am like so way over time, it's not even funny. So this is the part where I do this. And that part was successful as well. I am done.